Hi, thank you for watching my channel today. My name's Sarah and my channel is called Your True Shelf. And today I am talking about a recent reading slump and why I think it happened. So, I don't really get reading slumps, and when other people talk about them I always think like, that's not really something that ever happens to me. But then it did happen and it was a bit rubbish. So basically, I used to always just read one book at a time, and then I just think like since being on BookTube, I guess I've read a lot more, but I've also had things I didn't have before, like reading challenges or buddy reads and stuff, which I never used to do before. And I've bought way more books since I've been on BookTube, and so I guess like this sounds really stupid because reading is supposed to be fun and reading is fun, but sometimes I find it stressful because I know I've got this many things to get through or this many things to read for this deadline and stuff like that. And so I ended up like reading quite a few books at the same time. And then some of them are kind of dragging on a bit, and I feel like I've got too much on the go at once. And yeah, so that's I think how it came about. And then so I think the actual book that triggered it off was Little Women. So I read the first part of Little Women, like the first 250 page book before Christmas, and then the second part, Good Wives, has been kind of ongoing, and I just focused on it just now and managed to finish it yesterday, so I hope that will help now, because that one was kind of hanging over me a bit because it was so big and a very slow read because it's very like sort of dense text. So I finished that one, but then the other day, like for the first time, I went up to choose something else, and I just thought, I just can't choose anything. I don't really know what I want to read, and that's what made me go back to Little Women and finish that. Because I was like, well, if I can't choose something new, I'll just choose something that I'm already starting. So anyway, I finished Little Women, and then I still felt like stressed out about reading, which is so stupid. But anyway, so what I did was I made lists. So lists always help me out when I'm feeling stressed. So I made lists of the books that I've borrowed from other people, books that I have got from the library, books that I'm doing buddy reads for, and books that I need to finish that I'm kind of halfway through. So I just thought I'd like chat about that, and hopefully chatting will be therapeutic and I'll stop being so ridiculous about the fact that I have too much to read, and it shouldn't be stressful, it should be fun. So like, come on, I need to get a grip. So I've got a pile next to me of all the books that I've borrowed. I think these are all the ones I've borrowed. There are some that I've got from my mum, which I don't think she wants back, so I only included one because she might want it back. The rest of them I'm pretty sure that she doesn't even remember she gave them to me, and she doesn't want them back. Mum, correct me if I'm wrong. So anyway, I've got a pile next to me. So I need encouragement to read these, because obviously if I don't like them, that's fine, I can just give them back. If I do like them, I still get to give them back and have more space on my shelf. So this is the first thing. So the first book that I have is Bodies of Light by Sarah Moss, and I just read my first Sarah Moss, which is one of my resolutions, so yay for that one, and that was Ghost Wall. So Bodies of Light is about a family set in Victorian Manchester. The father paints beautiful women, the mother visits the slums and campaigns against child prostitution, and Ali, the daughter, and her sister, she tries to teach them to live for others. So one of the sisters like to pose for the artist in their father's circle, and the other daughter devotes herself to her mother's ambitions, working hard to join the first generation of female doctors. So sounds really, really good, and I love the cover, and I have no excuse for why I haven't read this yet, because I think I probably need to put some of these on my book trolley so I actually see them and it registers with me that, yeah, I need to read them. So that's the first one. Then I have The Liar's Gospel by Naomi Alderman. So I saw her with my friend Shona at the UEA Literary Festival, and afterwards you can go into Waterstones and buy their books, and I bought Disobedience, and Shona bought this one, and then she read it and lent it to me, and about 5 years later I still have it. So this one, it's set in the time of Jesus, and it's basically saying like either something miraculous happened or somebody lied. So it sounds interesting. The only other book I've read set in that time period is Testament of Mary by Colm Tóibín, which I really enjoyed. The next one is one that I mentioned recently, and that is talking about Jane Austen in Baghdad by B. Rowlett and May Witwit. So this is a book about the two of them have an accidental email correspondence, and then they make a firm friendship over 2 continents, and so it's a non-fiction, and it sounds really intriguing. I definitely want to get to that one really soon. The next book that I have is a biography, which I've had for, I dread to think how long, probably, let me see, about 16 years. Oh my god. Okay, so this is the biography of Ricky Tomlinson, and I got this for my dad as a Christmas present because we all in our family love like the TV programme The Royal Family. So I got it for him for that, and he said it was really good and lent it to me, and I've had it ever since. So he's had time as he's been a plasterer, banjo player, stand-up comic, union agitator, political activist, film extra, award-winning actor, and guest of Her Majesty's Prison Service. And grew up in Liverpool. He grew up in poverty by the sounds of things. He was a political prisoner, and he became a stand-up comic because he was unable to get work after being in prison. So it sounds like really fascinating, and I really just need to crack on and read this because I'm sure it's a really good book. The next one is one which is lent to me by one of my colleagues at work. It's another non-fiction, and this is The Butchering Art by Lindsey Fitzharris. This was a book which was listed for the Wellcome Prize, and it's about Joseph Lister's quest to transform the grisly world of Victorian medicine. So it's learning about hygiene practices and how they improved survival rates from surgery and babies being born, that sort of thing. The next one doesn't have a cover because my friend kept it, so it didn't get damaged. I've actually got my own copy of this now, so I can give it back. And that is H is for Hawk by Helen Macdonald. So this is a book about, I'm holding up, you can't see. This is a book about grief and about a woman whose father has died, and she is training a goshawk, which helps her through her grief. And like I said, I bought my own copy of this now, so I can actually give this back to you, Shane, the next time I see you. Then I've got, the next one is one I am planning on reading soon, and that's A Woman in Berlin by Anonymous. This is the wartime diaries of a woman in Berlin during a heavy bombing campaign from April 1945 to June 1945. And because it's a diary, I think it's going to be super interesting. And you don't hear very many books from the German perspective. It's mainly from the Allies' perspective. So I think that's going to be really interesting. It's got no pictures.
Thanks.
Then I have Symphony with Animals by Aysha Akhtar, which is a book about how animals and the human-animal connection enriches our lives and our well-being. I'm not focusing on these very much because I've got quite a lot. Then another book I mentioned quite recently, it's Reason for Hope by Jane Goodall, which is about her life and her field work that she did with chimpanzees, and I think it's her memoir. I've got a really little book which sounds intriguing, and again I just have no excuse why I haven't read it yet. It's Veronica Decides to Die by Paulo Coelho. So Veronica is a woman who tries to kill herself by taking an overdose, and she doesn't succeed, but when she comes around she finds that she's only got a few days to live, and so she has to basically gets this second chance, but she has to figure out what she wants to do with these few days. So I think it's probably going to be quite philosophical and intense maybe, but it says it's moving and uplifting, reminding us of every moment in our lives is special and precious, and that's tiny, so again, no excuse. Then a book about this one of my old work colleagues lent me, who I don't even work with her anymore, so I will find a way to get it back to her, but she gave it to me so long ago because I worked with her up to 2016, so obviously I've had it for longer than that. So this is called The Murderer's Daughters by Randy Susan Meyers, and this is about two girls called Lulu and Mary, and their father kills the mother, stabs. It's a story, it's not real. Stabs the 5-year-old and tries to kill himself.
Why?
It's a story.
Yeah, but why? Why?
I'll talk to you about it in a minute. And so then the dad goes to prison, and they're effectively orphaned because of their mother's death. And then the girls' relatives abandon them to a group home. So this sounds like really gripping and really, really different to anything I've read before. So that's, I need to prioritise.
Am I going to talk about it now?
The next one I haven't read because it's so thick. Don't do that, please. It's so thick and that puts me off. But I need to get a grip because my friend wouldn't have lent it to me if it wasn't really good. And it's called An Instance of the Fingerpost by Iain Pears. This is a historical fiction which is set... Oh gosh, where's the synopsis? Can't even see the synopsis. I know it's... I think it's set about 600 or 700 years ago. And it is a murder mystery, I think. Oh, here we go. Set in the 1660s, so not as long ago as I thought, in Oxford, a time of intellectual, scientific, religious and political ferment. This remarkable novel centres around a young woman called Sarah who stands accused of the murder of a fellow at New College. Sarah. 4 witnesses describe the events surrounding the death, and each one tells their version of what happened, but only one reveals the extraordinary truth. So it does sound good. And it's got lust, betrayal, secrets and murder written on the front. Then I have one which I only just mentioned again because it's only just been lent to me, A Gentleman in Moscow by Amor, Towles, which is about a guy who's really rich and aristocratic, and he is in Russia at the time of the Russian Revolution, and he has to basically live in a hotel room for years on end and watch Russia change in front of his eyes. It's supposed to be really good, and it is long, but it's got a lot of dialogue in, so I don't think it would actually take that long to read. And then the last two, no, it's not the last two, the last few. I've got A Whole Life by Robert Seethaler, which is a tiny little book, again, which would be easy for me to read quickly. And this is about a guy who lives in a mountain valley where he lives and works. And it's set in the mid-1900s, and it's about landscape, solitude and the arrival of the modern world. The next book... awesome, I just found inside some postcards that I've been looking for. Yay, that's good. The next book is The 5 People You Meet in Heaven by Mitch Albom. So my friend Nick really loves his books, and I've read one of them, which was Tuesdays with Maury, and absolutely loved it. This one, my mum lent me the audio and I couldn't stand the narrator's voice, so I DNF'd it. But I'm definitely going to give it another go because... I've heard so many good things about it, and it was the narrator's voice. I think it wasn't the actual book itself that put me off. This one is a classic, a modern classic that most people have read, and it is The Poisonwood Bible by Barbara Kingsolver, about a family of missionaries who go from America to the Congo, Belgian Congo, in 1959, and it's about what happens when they're there. Chunkster, hence haven't read it yet. I've only read one by Barbara Kingsolver, which was Flight Behaviour, which I really enjoyed. So I am going to get to this soon, she says, like all of the books here. That was my mum's, and I think she's okay with me keeping it, but I'm going to check. So the next one, my friend Nick lent to me. This is Paper Aeroplanes by Dawn Porter. She said it's a really easy kind of light read, but she was like, don't worry if you don't like it, just like give it away, because you might not. It's not exactly like literary fiction, I don't think, but I don't necessarily have to just read literary fiction, so I'm going to give it a go and see. Right, and then the last two. One of them is a book by an author who I want to read for the first time this year, so this will be a perfect excuse to do that, and that is NW by Zadie Smith. I've never read Zadie Smith. It's one of my resolutions this year to read her, because I have two other books by her, so I can read this and give it back. And then the final one is a real chunkster, and it's not one that I probably would ever pick up myself, but I'm giving it a go because it's been recommended to me. And that is An Officer and the Spy by Robert Harris. This is about the most infamous miscarriage of justice in history. Paris 1895. What was that noise?
That's this iPad
Okay.
script.
Okay.
I promise.
Okay. In 1895, an army officer watches a convicted spy being publicly humiliated in front of a baying crowd. He's exiled for life to Devil's Island, and the officer is promoted to run the intelligence unit that tracked him down. But then it says he discovers secrets are being handed over to the Germans, and he's drawn into a dangerous labyrinth of deceit and corruption that threatens not just his honour but his life. Sounds like an olden day Line of Duty.
So cool.
So, right, so that was all the books that I've borrowed. So as you can see, there's tons. I do need to keep them. I think I'm just going to put them all on my book trolley.
Okay.
Then I'm going to put them all on my book trolley so that I actually get to them, because otherwise they just get absorbed into my shelves. Then, from the library, currently I have Long Live the Tribe of Fatherless Girls, which I've just started today. And I'm reading that one for one of the Reading Women Challenge Squares, which was their Reading Women Award shortlist book. I've got Queenie by Candice Carty-Williams, which is just, I reserved ages ago and it's just come in at the library, but I haven't picked it up yet because I know once I picked it up I need to read it straight away, so I'm leaving it as long as possible to collect it. I have Credo by Olivia Lang, which I saw in the library and picked it up a few weeks ago. I've already renewed that one once, but I heard so much good stuff about it on BookTube last year that I got it from the library, and it's only a little book so it shouldn't take me long. And then I've also got The Gender Games by Juno Dawson, which I'm going to read as another challenge from a Reading Women Challenge, which is my LGBTQ plus square. So that's those. And then buddy reads, I don't need to read you a list of my buddy reads. And then ones to finish. So I'm halfway through All Things Censored by Mumia Abu-Jamal, which is a non-fiction, it's a collection of essays from Mumia, who is a former death row inmate. He's now on life without parole, and he was very unjustly convicted from a very unfair trial, and it's about racism in the US justice system, especially for black men on death row. It's really interesting. Then there's I Know Where the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. This is a reread for me. I've listened to the audio and I want to get the next one, so I thought I would just recap by reading the books. It's been quite a while since I listened to the audio, so I've started that, but I'm not very far in. And then I've got the two books which I'm not even going to bother talking about because I've been reading them so long in chunks. One of them is a parenting book, which I have to start from the beginning because I had to stop it because my little ones weren't old enough for the rest of the book, and they are now. And then the other one is Sacred Contracts by Caroline Mace, which I'm still working my way through and I am progressing, but you have to write essays as part of reading the book, hence why it's taking me so long. Okay, so hopefully airing my TBR stress will have reduced it and make me actually take action so that I don't feel like so much pressure to get certain things read. So let me know, is this just me, or do you guys have this problem too? Have you read any of the books on my borrowed list that you can spare me on with, like make me choose those ones next? And yeah, what do you like, read books, multiple books at once? Do you just read one at a time? Do you ever feel like like this about your TBR? Let me know, and it'd be nice to have a chat about it in the comments. And have a lovely week, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye.